When Donald Trump was re-elected as US President in November, pictures resurfaced from an edition of Shoot magazine in November 1991, which sensationally claimed, "Billionaire tycoon Donald Trump once played 6 games in goal for Wolves... youth team while his American Air Force father was based in the Midlands." I mean, certainly sounded like a good story, although quite how talented a goalkeeper the Don would have made is unclear, considering that I won't be making any jokes about the size of anyone's hands.
He said I had small hands. Actually, I'm 6'3", not 6'2", but he said I had small hands. They're not small, are they?
Although I will say, speaking as a goalkeeper, you do have to be good at building walls.
We need to build a wall.
Anyway, good story or not, Trump's father, Fred, was never in the American Air Force, so fake news. Now, I'm obviously not an impressionist, but I am Adam Cleary, and here's a thorough investigation into all the times Donald Trump actually was involved with football. Because journalism. Now to start, just weeks after that original shoot claim in the 90s, Trump was on UK TV screens presiding over the draw for the 91-92 𝗷𝗫𝗍𝗍𝗓 Cup quarterfinals. This was the season when the competition went, how can I put this, a bit mad, bolting on the 𝗷𝗫𝗍𝗍 Sprint Challenge as well, where players from Football League teams competed against each other in 100-metre sprint races. We can't use the audio for this, but rest assured you can literally hear the hamstrings pinging in this. The draws were screened on ITV's Saturday lunchtime Saint Greavsie show, but the pair were in New York that weekend as Madison Square Garden was hosting the draw for the 1994 World Cup qualifying. If you recall, Graham Taylor's England drew the Netherlands and Norway, which went not great.
Steady, David, don't! Get round! No, don't! Bloody!
The programme editor, Richard Worth, told us here at FourFourTwo, "I told Jim Rosenthal, why don't we get an iconic New York name? Let's find Woody Allen and do the draw in black and white, or Robert De Niro." Now, neither of those two were available, but Worth spotted Trump at a reception, and after a conversation with his English secretary, who recognised Saint Greavsie, they asked if Trump could conduct the 𝗷𝗫𝗍𝗍𝗓 Cup draw at Trump Tower. For reasons that remain to this day between him and God, he agreed. It's an astounding bit of surrealist live art TV, as Trump has less than zero idea what is going on. "I haven't seen a boardroom like this since I was in Doug Ellis's at Aston Villa," Greavsie quipped. And Trump, hearing the words Doug, Ellis, Aston and Villa for the very first time in his life, just laughed anyway. If there are any American viewers watching this who have access to the White House, please do let us know in the comments if the commemorative Saint Greavsie mug is still kicking about in the staff canteen, because I'm guessing it's not. Fast forward to COVID, you remember that, and Trump started to turn up at a number of British football grounds. Or he sort of did anyway, as fans made cardboard cutouts to fill empty seats and found it really funny to put the president's face on theirs. He turned up at Exeter, at Wigan, at Hibs, and here he is as part of Hamilton Accies kebab promotion. He could, though, have turned up for real at Ibrox 8 years earlier, as reports suggested that he was investigating the possibility of buying Rangers at the time of their financial turmoil. Trump's mother was born near Stornoway in the Outer Hebrides, and her son managed to show affection for the nation of Scotland by somehow upsetting every single person in it with his controversial development of the Trump International Golf Links course in Aberdeenshire in 2012. He would also later buy Turnberry Golf Club in 2014, which was somehow even less popular. However, in 2012, he deemed that Rangers' situation was simply too dire for a takeover, which tragically denied us all what would have been one of football's greatest moments when he was forced to "you're fired" Ally McCoist on live TV. "We looked at it, seriously, and had to walk away," said an anonymous Trump source. "It just didn't make sense to us, though they're a great club, amazing club, such a special club. Normally you hear club, you think golf. I'm a very successful golfer, one of the best, but no, this is soccer. They call it football, some call it soccer. Same thing, very sad, and again, I'm not an impressionist." Anyway, fast forward 3 years later, and Trump was reported to be part of a group mulling over the purchase of Colombian outfit Atlético Nacional, partnering with Italian real estate mogul Alessandro Proto, who had previously claimed to be the inspiration for the lead character in 50 Shades of Grey. In the assessments we've been doing for several teams, we thought Nacional was the best, said another unnamed group spokesman. However, they were ultimately rebuffed, being told that Atletico was not for sale. And obviously, any chance of Trump owning a football club ended when he completed the entirely non-trivial challenge of being elected president in 2016. But it did lead to an opportunity for his football-loving son, Baron Trump, which is apparently his real name, who was a budding midfielder, joining DC United's youth setup after the old man moved to Washington. The teenager was also spotted in the White House grounds having a kickabout in an Arsenal shirt, which is just surreal. Inevitably, in 2018, Trump invited DC United star Wayne Rooney and his wife Colleen to the White House. Yeah, he asked me to give his son some football lessons, revealed Rooney. However, Colleen's recollection of the occasion was rather less wholesome. We walked in and Donald Trump said to his son, "You see, I told you all the soccer players get good-looking girls." I thought, "You dirty bastard." Later on, Trump would have a quick round with Wayne rather than with Colleen, and of golf rather than, in what turned out to be a very busy course. We had Rudy Giuliani in the buggy behind us, then about 50 to 100 other buggies, all security, Rooney recalls. There was a boat in the lake carrying snipers, and there were snipers in the bushes. I was like, what's going on? Now, amusingly, a freak growth spurt meant that Baron developed into a very different kind of player to Rooney. He was taller than his 6'3" dad by the age of 15 and dubbed the new Peter Crouch as footage emerged of his expert hold-up play in a game. Rest assured, if there was any footage of him doing the robot, we would have dug that out for you, so presume it never happened. Baron has since left DC United, oh no, and attends New York University, but plans to continue playing football. At 18, he's now 6'7". And Trump Sr. was quoted as saying, "I told him, you're gonna be..." I'm gonna stop doing that impression now. "I told him, you're going to be a basketball player, but he said, I like soccer, Dad, so you can't talk them into everything." But just to circle back to this Twilight Zone moment in 1991, Trump was very positive about the USA women's team and even gave them a big shout out on Saint Greavsie, the highest possible honour, but that of course wasn't the case a few decades later. Megan Rapinoe, you remember her, wasn't just a footballer, but also an activist who had previously kneeled during the US national anthem in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick and spoken of her outright dismay at Trump's election. They didn't get on, you'll be shocked to hear. And in 2016, she told us, literally us, FourFourTwo, "I respect our democratic process, but it's tough when you choose racism and bigotry and sexism and xenophobia and for it all to be so blatantly done." Then, midway through the 2019 Women's World Cup, a video emerged of Rapinoe saying she would not accept an offer to meet Trump at the White House if the USA won the tournament. "I'm not going to the White House," she said, prompting the inevitable reaction, "Meghan should win first before she talks," tweeted Trump. "Meghan should never disrespect our country, the White House, or our flag," send tweet. Just 2 days later, Rapinoe scored against the host, France, and aimed her celebration squarely at Trump. She did, of course, win the World Cup and was named player of the tournament to boot. "It's still a bit ridiculous to think about it," she told us, "that someone would tweet a member of their own national team for the nation they're supposed to be leading during what we were trying to do. He's not the President of the United States," she went on to say. "He's the President of Donald Trump." But then, 4 years on in Melbourne, Rapinoe missed a penalty as the Americans suffered a shock loss to Sweden in the last 16 of the 2023 World Cup. And Trump, a man who can hold on to a beef longer than Desperate Dan, posted the following: "The shocking and totally unexpected loss by the US women's soccer team is fully emblematic," is that a word, "of what is happening to our once great nation." This was, of course, on Truth Social at this point, as he'd been kicked off Twitter, but anyway, "Many of our players were openly hostile to America. No other country behaved in such a manner, or even close," and then in all capitals, "Woke equals failure. Nice shot, Megan. The USA is going to hell," which is... it's just such a normal thing to say, isn't it? But I digress. After Russia and Qatar, many had hoped that the 2026 World Cup would be politics-free, which is one of the funniest sentences I think I've ever written or said. Only time will tell how the relative chaos of a Trump administration will tally with the organisation of football's biggest showpiece. If the tournament kicks off, and I'm saying this now, without the president having threatened to ban America's historical and evil enemies like Iran or Canada, that'll be a good start. Give him his due though, Trump definitely cares if the World Cup is a success. Vladimir Putin was famously obsessed with it in 2018, and just 24 hours after that final, he proudly presented Trump with a World Cup football. The big man has also described Gianni Infantino as, you're gonna love this, a great friend and winner. The FIFA president has reportedly spent years trying to secure a White House meeting with Joe Biden, but visited Trump there in 2019, and they met again at the Miami Grand Prix. FIFA has a base nearby, you see, as does Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Must be the weather. The USA, Canada and Mexico secured joint hosting rights for the World Cup amid Trump's first presidency. He has submitted 3 supporting letters that I absolutely bet he wrote himself to Infantino and said with typical modesty, "I was personally very responsible for getting that World Cup. It's going to be a fantastic thing." Infantino then not only invited him to record a video message for the Club World Cup draw, but also allowed his grandson, Theo, to pick the first ball. It was Palmeiras, as it turned out, after the 8-year-old said his favourite team was Paris. The return of the World Cup to North America in 2026 presents another great opportunity in my mind. The draw for the group stage is expected to take place in December 2025, and unless I am very much mistaken, that is around the time of another League Cup draw. Possibly Sky could ask Don if he fancies another go, perhaps this time in the Oval Office? And please, if you would humour me, just picture it. Drawing the home teams for us today, we have the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump, and drawing the away teams will be former Reading midfielder, 𝗫𝗫𝗧𝗏. Gentlemen, if you could get us underway. But yes, anyway, long story short, no, he never played for Wolves. Goodbye, and have a nice day, is I believe the expression.